welcome to the Every Brain is Different podcast. I am Samantha here with your Friday Five, and today we're going to be talking about what can be a really big subject, and that is applied behavioral analysis, or ABA. And we're going to be talking about its role in supporting the neurodivergent community. So first of all, what is ABA? ABA is a scientific approach to understanding behavior and how it is affected by the environment. The goal of ABA is to improve socially significant behaviors like communication, self-help skills, emotional regulation, and social interactions by using techniques based on the principles of learning and behavior. Some of the key elements of ABA include individualized goals, which are based on what's important to the person and to their family. Ongoing data collection is used to guide decisions and track progress. Positive reinforcement is used to teach and strengthen new skills. Environmental modifications are used to make it easier for people to succeed. Functional communication and emotional regulation are major teaching areas. And then it's client-centered care, where the client's preferences and consent are prioritized. ABA is the gold standard for intervention when a child gets diagnosed with autism. I'm not saying if that's right or wrong. I'm just saying that's how it is. When my son was diagnosed, it was the only thing recommended besides participating in a genetic study. And I often hear that this is the case. A child gets diagnosed with autism, and the only resource mentioned is ABA, which is a disservice to families because there are so many other interventions out there and so many other treatments and supports that they also need to be given. And I will say, when my kids were later diagnosed, when my other kids were diagnosed, we received a whole report of services that might be beneficial to our family, which was super helpful. But when my first son was diagnosed, probably 10 years, not 10 years ago, 7 years ago, the only thing mentioned was Autism Speaks and ABA and the genetic study through Autism Speaks or something like that. ABA is very controversial due to its troubled beginnings, and in the beginning it was about behavior modification of the autistic individual to look more neurotypical. It has grown to be so much more than that, though, if you find the right program. I'm not going to go into the history of ABA today. We will do that on another episode, but I want to talk to you about what you should think about when you are choosing an ABA program for your child if you decide that ABA is right for you and your child. So, when looking for an ABA program, look for one that emphasizes client assent and client-centered care. This means understanding and respecting the preferences and priorities of the individual that's being worked with, whether it's through direct communication with that client or through assessments and observations. The goal should be to tailor the approach to meet their unique needs. And it's assent based, which means we're not going to force them to do anything. We're not going to manipulate them into doing things. We are just teaching them new skills. And if they say, hey, I'm not into this today, then we're going to back off and not do it. That used to not be the case, but a good center will do that. And then also look for a program that focuses on manipulating environments, not the client, to support the client in various settings such as school, in the community, or at home. By adapting the environment, we create opportunities for skill development right where the client's at, which fosters greater independence and success. An important aspect of ABA is the involvement of parents and caregivers. Research shows that increased parent involvement correlates with greater growth and progress for the client. Find a program that works closely with families to identify specific priorities and goals, ensuring interventions are aligned with what matters to them and their loved ones. A few years ago, I worked at a center that did behavior intervention, which is Idaho's version of ABA, and then an ABA company bought that center, and I quit shortly after because one of the, I think she was like the president of the region or something like that. She said, parents don't know what their child needs. We know best. If that is said, or if that vibe is given, run away. Like, just you know your child the best. You know what they need to work on. You know where they need support. You know what your family needs to work on to support your kid. And so a if a professional is saying, "Hey, we know what's best for your child. You don't know what's best for your child. we're going to do what we think is best, then find a different center. So to wrap up, find a program where ABA is not just behavior modification. Find a program that focuses on empowering individuals to thrive in their environments and use client-centered approaches to ensure that interventions are meaningful, effective, and respectful of each person's journey. If you would like more information about this or just to talk more about this, you can email me at Samantha@BoiseMusicTherapyCompany.com and I would be happy to talk to you about this. I hope you all have a great week.